So today we are going to look at how the convention enforced control in detail. I think yesterday it was sort of an introductory lesson, but in that introductory lesson, I gave some hints of some of the methods that they used to unleash terror so that they can propel the revolution further. So it is the honors and prerogative of this lesson to explain some of those methods in detail so that you can understand. Right. So what were the measures taken by the convention from March to May 1793? Right. Number one, they came up with the Committee of Public Safety, the CPS. It was the most important group and major agent of the terror. It was first formed in April, and a new one which Robespierre set on was agreed in July. It was a 9-member committee, right? And it had the authority to check on the works of the ministers, and it also controlled various committees of the conventions. So the convention had various committees, but the biggest of them all was the Committee of Public Service, a 9-member committee. So real executive authority, or the real power to make real national decisions, rested in the hands of the Committee of Public Safety. And by 10 July 1793, it had assumed dictatorial what? It had assumed dictatorial powers. So there was also the Committee of General Safety. It was another major agent of the terror. It was a 12-man committee. It controlled spies and ran a secret revolutionary police. The duty of the secret revolutionary police was to spy on what? On any anti-revolutionary elements. So its duty was to control the police, investigated the reports of secret informants, and arrested conspirators and suspected persons. Conspirators are those people who were conspiring to topple the revolution, right? And those were suspected to of what? Of being anti-revolutionary, right? So it was in charge of internal security during the reign of terror. So in short, it had responsibility for police, security, surveillance, and spying. Then we had the Revolutionary Tribunal. What did we say about the Revolutionary Tribunal? What was its duty? Shami, what was the duty of the Revolutionary Tribunal? Angel. Mungu, what did I say about the Revolutionary Tribunal? Do I get it? Clay, Revolutionary Tribunal. Tinash.
I usually like my principles of revolution.
What is a tribunal? A tribunal is a court. Those people who were suspected of conspiring and being suspects of the revolution, right? They were tried in the courts. So there was a revolutionary tribunal. Yanga court raitonga vanhu ivavo. Ndo vataizoti vamwe vacho kavaizoswa pagilotini handizvo here. Please pay attention when I'm teaching, because my issues andienda kamataura. When you're at A level, unofanira kubata zvinhu. That's sign. That's a good sign of an advanced level student. So it had judicial powers to try counter-revolutionaries. It was also a major group which carried out the terror. Ndo yaita carry out the terror, because ndo yaizokutongera mhosva number one, then ndo yaizokutongera futi rufu. And under the law of suspects, September 1793, local revolutionary committees could send counter-revolutionary before the revolutionary tribunals. Then Pani invited the law of prairial that was passed on 10 June 1794. It gave a wider, broad, and vague definition of enemies of the people. It led the tribunal to secure more convictions. It also paved way for the Great Terror. So in March to May 1793, the convention also established, number one, the Surveillance Committee, which watched the committees who spied foreigners could execute rebels without appeal. That was the Surveillance Committee. Surveillance Committee raitonga ziso raiona nekuongorora kuona kuti hapana vanhu here vari kuita go against the revolution. Kana tikavaona takuvaendesa kurevolutionary tribunal votongwa, kana zvichibvira votongerwa rufu, then they will be executed. That was the terror right? Takataura isusu kuti chinombodzi reign of terror chacho chi kushandisa chibhinya kurana nyika. Handi kuona mezi zacho, right? So there were also representatives on mission where agents of the central government sent out to the provinces. They ruthlessly took over local governance and enforced decrees. They spied on generals and made sure conscription was taking place fast enough. So their duty was to spy on generals because under the Lee V.N. Massey, which was a forced military conscription, the duty of the generals was kuenda kumarai nekumamisha vachi recruit vanhu kuti join the revolutionary army. So revolutionary armies, they carried out tasks for the authorities, e.g. seizing grain. Pane vanhu vaiti vaine grain kumamisha vanga vasingachadi kudini kutengesa kuti uye kumatown. So rari basa rearmy to force those people kana chibvira kuvauraya kana waita sei, so that they can transport the grain or they can sell the grain. So attacking hoarders, because there were also hoarders. Hoarders ndo vano interceptor the grain isati yasvika kune vanhu. Kuti let's say 50 kg chibage inenge chinzi tomboti for example $10. Then hoarders zvaanoita anonotenga chibage chese, then otanga kuti 50 kg yedu yakuita $30. Vaku disadvantage avanhu. So deserters, refectory priests, and rooting out counter-revolutionaries. It was also to mobilize the nation's resources for the war effort by confiscating church silver and bells. So these measures had three aims. Number one, to identify, place under observation, and punish suspects. Number two, to make the government more effective to ensure that its orders were carried out. Number three, to meet at least some of the economic demands of the Sun-Culottes. Right. So there was also the economic terror. It was in response to the pressure from the Sun-Culottes and Rocks who denounced the hoarding of food. So economic terror saw the convention coming up on 29 September 1793. They came up with what we call the law of general maximum. Because pane inonzi jargon ndizo kana chita biology kana chinyora weki biology, teacher we biology or examiner we biology anofana kunzwa language or diction ye biology. Atifana kunzwa wedre kuti democracy tichita biology hakuna zvakadaro, kana kuti wedre kuti revolutionary tichita biology. Techinzwa ma enzymes nema chromosomes uri bata zvakuta ndo inonzi jargon. So ndo unofana kunzwa flavor like ma topic history anoitonga different food ndizo kuti unofanira kuziva kuti flavor yenyama inodai, flavor yogurt inodai. So unofanira kuchiziva kuti each and every topic ma words are common in that topic ndapi. Because at advanced level you are being tested in two when we are marking. Number one, depth of the knowledge. Urubara zanduta understanding here, for example, all level history, advanced level history, it's quite different. I still remember when I was in Form 5, takanyora mutapa state 5 mapage yanga yatopera, but patati A level manotes mutapa state ndakaona akusvika akazadza akusvika ku half accountable iri mutapa state chete. Zviri kukuratidza kuti depth understanding yatosiyana. Zvasiyana zvamunoita kuform 2 nekuform 3 zvekuti they kept cattle and sheep otopiwa 2 marks. Uku ukatiudzwa they kept cattle and sheep unofanira kunge uchitiudza kuti wazviudzwa nani and waidzichengeterei and zvazvakakosherei kudzichengeta. That's analysis. Uri babata. So you are tested in 2 at advanced level. Depth of the knowledge and analysis. Depth of the knowledge of the topic, yatinoti topic mastery. Ndosaka muchiona ndinogara pasi ndotanga kutsanangura topic yese nemoyo wangu wese sentence by sentence nenda kuti mubate, because zvinobatsira pane yatinoti examination flexibility. Vanhu vane problem yekuti kana vachiapproacha zvinhu izvi vanonorerekera pakuita maquestion mapaper. It's a very wrong thing. That's a secondary thing that you must do. At advanced level you have to master topics. Ziva topic zvakasimba kupfura kuziva ma questions, because once one knowledge ye topic ma questions hawanzochinja kungochinjirwa ma words chete. As long as une knowledge ye topic wakwanisa kungoflexa knowledge iyoyo ichingokwana pa any question. Zvorova kuti ndikakudzidzisa topic madzidzira ndiri kuita ndokuti uerenga ma textbooks handika. So ndikakubvunza about the convention in 100 different ways, you have to answer. Because you have the knowledge. So bata jargon yetopic patiri kuti law of maximum chii. Munhu ari kumaka akaona uchitaura izvozvozvo uchimaka unobva wapiwa mamaxis. Uchitaura kuti law of suspects, uchitaura kuti the representatives of mission, uchitaura language yacho kuti clergy kuti chi. That's what we like, right? So they came up with a Central Food Committee which contributed to the success of this policy. Bread was also rationed. Do you know rationing? Rationing ndeyekuti kana munyika muine shortage, let's say chikafu, kana vanhu vakutenga chikafu ichocho vanorationwa. Taimbozviita tiri kwaMutarauko pane mazuva akambonetsa kuma 2008 2007 ekuti chikafu chainetsa. So sometimes maitongoenda kwaTM paine zilofu raitengwa so rainzi zigwangwata zilofu rarea. Tatina advantage kuti pamba pedu pataigara takawanda, but mutemo wanga uri wekuti one person one loaf muchitotenga kwawanda. Zvinhu zvazvo zvakaoma ende chimwe wanga usingachioni musupermarket. Maitoita zvekuchiintercepta kuseri kuri kuti chauya maybe nana Nobels o kutoti hanozoitwa naTM nana OK vaibika zvimba zvavo futi maitomira line inenge ichinzi food rationing kuitira kuti vanhu vese vakwane. Because period panoitika mafood rations ndo futi pano interceptwa neanonzi maholders. So maholders ndo aisabotage revolution, ndo vamwe vaiuraiwa futi. Maholders vanoita sei? Vanhu vasati vaita mutsetse wekutenga chingwa kwa OK, iwo vanobva vatora chingwa chese kwa OK. Kana chingwa chainzi dora ma OK, vanobva vatanga kuti chi, votanga kutora advantage of the shortage, votanga kuti chakuita $5 one loaf. So that was the thing. So the government ndo payanga kupindira ipapa, right? So military supplies could be supplied at a reasonable cost, and wages were also fixed at 50% above the prices of June 1790. Peasants who refused to sell their grains were forced by the government through food requisitioning and to making hoarding punishable by death. So to ward off financial crisis, there was to be a compulsory levy of 1 million francs on the rich. And when the sans-culottes and the Civil Revolutionary Army went to the rural areas to enforce the law of maximum, they also clashed with the peasants, right? So the government was successful. Yes, it was a desperate effort, but in one way or the other, the government was successful. Why was it successful? Because there was a flow of food to the towns, and the armies helped in carrying that out. So there's also the de-Christianization activities of the Hebetists. There was a man called Herbert Forge. He says that the reason why the people were suffering during the ancient regime was because of the Roman Catholic Church. So let us do away with that. These people were extreme republicanists. They wanted a complete revolution. They wanted a complete change. So it was not the official position of the central government, but that of the sans-culottes. The sans-culottes of the Paris Commune hated Catholicism, which they felt had betrayed the revolution and was working towards counter-revolution. So between 1792 and 1794, churches were closed, church bells and silver were removed, and roadside shrines and crosses were destroyed. The Paris Commune stopped paying clerical salaries in May 1793, and in November ordered all churches in Paris to be closed. Priests were also forced to renounce their priesthood and forced to marry. The nota, because my priest, they live a celibate life. My priest and my pope nechi, how the Gurora, Vanunga Chinzi, could know to Varambari Piwa, one or the other. I don't know, I really don't know some of the reasons. But Boga Boazua, Nima sans-culottes, ne some of the Hebetists, which by next week out on Amarora, Saturn with my funnies. Within 2 months, that on a number that to about a Stombodas or Zungo Garas in our cards, Roraiton. So by 1794, most of the churches in France had been closed. So on 5 October 1793, a new revolutionary calendar was introduced. They usually say that calendar had 10 days. The reason why calendar ran 10 days per week, it's a Sunday. Because you know, Sunday is the first day of the week. Saturday is the 7th day of the week. So the reason why it is Sunday knows the first day. She counted the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You walk about a week, you are 7 days. 10. The moment yakuti wakutoti wiki harina 7 days rine 10 maakutoona kuti Sunday pasina yatomedzwa kapa 10 ipapa. It means vanga wauda unyatsoita get rid of Christianity. So these measures were spearheaded by Herbert and Foch, but hazvina kuzonyanya kuenda mberi because at the end of the day kunyange zvazvo the Roman Catholic Church yaishungurudza vanhu time yacho ancient regime, the people loved it. The people loved their religions. Ndosa vachitonzwa kuti pamwe pacho unotonzwa kuti chechi yakati kuri kurepwa vanhu kuri kuita sei, but vanhu vanongoramba vachienda because that's the religion for you. So however, the Herbatists were later accused, condemned and sent to the what? To the guillotine. Ndo pari kuzopinda agadharama achiti the revolution was now eating its own what? Its own people. So that's it for the reign of terror. I would like to wrap up. What were the positive results of the terror? Number one, although vaishandisa chimbimbo, the external enemy, i.e. the first coalition, was repulsed across every border and counter-revolutionary activities were checked. So the internal revolts in the departments like La, Vindy and Lyon were suppressed. Due to the economic terror, the value of the assignats remained fairly firm and food supplies in towns and cities improved. But negatively, many innocent people were condemned through the law of suspects. A suspect muna nongofungirwa ndizo. Ndogono ngoti ndashaya phone yangu ndototi amukundiya akaba phone yangu. Mukanogona kutovhariwa kutoenda kujeri. So ndozvaiitika. Katadza kutotaura nekuzvidefenda nekuita sei. But what I know is mapurisa kazhinji kutoti toende kukoti chako pane nyaya. Havangoendesi nyaya dzidzo koti. Pane dzimwe nyaya dzekuti vanototanga kutotaura kuti musatipedzere nguva kuno. Kana kuti tauriranayi munzwisane modini. Yes, they just analyze the situation. So the terror led to emigration of people from all classes. According to D. Thompson, the revolution was devouring its own children and it was alienating large sections of the populations. So the de-Christianization activities of the Herbatists compromised the unity of the nation, since the majority of the French people were what? Were Catholics. So the fall of Robespierre, ndo kuzopera kwakaita chi convention, because panodona Robespierre because ndiye aiita misarinya yese iyoyi. The CPS and CGS lost their despotic power. The Jacobin Club was closed. The convention retained its grip on the revolution, and the remaining Girondins regained access to the convention. The economic tyranny was relaxed and forced loans were abolished. Laws against non-juring priests and emigres were repealed, and religious freedom was reinstated. And the bourgeoisie regained the power it had lost. And a new constitution was drawn in 1795, and this subsequently led to the establishment of the last revolutionary government that we are going to look into tomorrow, called the what? The Directory. So that's it for the convention. I'm checking my notes here. The next topic is what? The Directory, 1795 to 1799. Like I promised, tinopedza bora.